Alrighty, here is our presentation on the MacDonald sisters. Two sisters, Margaret and Frances, two of the Glasgow Four, that had some pretty awesome pieces. Margaret and Frances MacDonald were two sisters studying art at the very beginning of the Art Nouveau movement. Their artwork is thought to have been some of the most influential pieces in the conception of Art Nouveau. So alongside two classmates, Charles Rennie Mackintosh and Herbert McNair, they comprise the Glasgow Four, kind of like we heard about in the lectures in class, a small group of artists who managed a very well balance of gendered equalities in their work. Um, One thing I was reading was that some historians say that there was a lot of sexual tension within the group and would argue that that tension influenced the Glasgow Four's pieces. I just kind of thought that was interesting to look at here. So this first piece is one of my favorite of theirs. It's Truth Lies at the Bottom of the Well by Frances MacDonald. Um, with a lot of their artwork, there are some like really ethereal characters. So you can see here the ghostly white women sitting in this well. And that takes a lot of inspiration from sort of Celtic culture and Celtic mythology, like a lot of, or folklore, a lot of works from back then. So many of the sisters' pieces, like this one here, depict nude women. Going back to that thing where people were talking about like sexual tension between the group, some historians attribute the depiction of nude women as attribute it to the underlying tensions of the Glasgow Four. But an important thing to note is that a lot of these, or well, all of these figures are very unsexualized. They're like very much independent. They're not exactly like painted like a lot of the French depictions of women. Um, so you can kind of look at that either as like France's culture and kind of how like beautiful and I guess how kind of like sexualized things are there. Or you can look at it as like this is a woman depicting nude women, which wasn't very common at the time. So once again, this one was done by Frances. This is the second piece here by Frances MacDonald that I really liked the context of. So this piece is titled Man Makes the Beads of Life, but Women Must Thread Them. Frances made this piece after marrying Herbert in the financial crisis of 1909, where she ended up supporting her family by taking on like a whole bunch of part-time jobs. So as historians point out that this piece, as well as others made by Frances during this time, showed both her desire to please and support her family, but not wanting to bear the burden of doing so. Um, so I think that's something that's interesting. Both of those pieces, kind of the how women depict nude women and sort of looking at like a woman providing for her family here, are issues that we still kind of have today and still talk about in our art. So to see a piece as like mysterious and ethereal as this one, all the way back from the Art Nouveau movement, talking about things that we still struggle with today, I just thought was really interesting. So I definitely want to include this one here. This last one here is Mysterious Garden by Margaret MacDonald. I actually chose this last piece because I really like how it looks. I know kind of the other two had more like historical significance and feminist undertones, but this one is really just genuinely very pretty, which I think the Art Nouveau movement, kind of being about making things beautiful and saying that decorative art, is just as important as sort of like more practical artwork and stuff like that. I think it's important to look at pieces that like today we still see as like really, really pretty. But once again, we have a very ethereal, ghost-like, very like pale white skin woman here. Again, once again influenced by that sort of Celtic folklore that they were studying at Glasgow at the time. So all very cool stuff. So yeah, of the Glasgow Four, typically only Charles Remy Mackintosh gets all that much recognition, but we can see that the artwork that these women, Frances and Margaret, put up today, or well, put up back then, even today, have very significant value.